Hi, everybody. Welcome to PlayStation Live from E3. Kristen and I are very excited to be joined by Nicholas, and we're going to talk about Astro Bot Rescue Mission.
That's right.
Now, some people may remember these little bots from Playroom or Playroom VR if they had a chance to play that. So why did you decide to take these little bots on a new thematic journey?
So with the Astro Bot, we're making a VR platform game.
Right.
So we're taking our robots into a classic genre, reinvented for VR. So it's very much a big adventure with those guys. You know, they come from originally inside the controller. That's where they lived. But we kind of take them out inside this kind of super magical world in VR. And so you go on a rescue mission, looking for your lost crew, and you control this little guy called Astro in this kind of VR environment. So the big thing about VR gameplay is that you can look all around you. So with the classic platformer, you get this kind of all-jumping action, but also you can use your body to kind of look around and have the kind of 360 gameplay.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little bit of it
That's
right here.
Yeah.
I know it's very different than your traditional side-scrolling platformer because not only can you look around in all directions, you actually have to sometimes to utilize the environment to your advantage.
Yeah.
And is this one of the big bosses that we're seeing?
So there's also a lot of big bosses. So Astrobot is actually, we did a test in the past when we released the Playroom VR. We had a little game inside the Playroom VR called Robot Rescue. And that was a sample for us. We wanted to try what it was like to have a platform game in VR. And it turns out to be really, really popular with gamers when the VR headset came out, the PSVR came out. So, with Astrobot, we're kind of really taking this to a really, really big game. And one of the big things we're adding are big VR moments like this one. You're kind of running up alongside this giant arm.
Love this.
And the bosses are also one of the big things. You know, in VR, everything feels huge.
Yeah.
And so bosses in VR, that's something we wanted to do, and we've been able to do with
I can't imagine this forced perspective while you're inside the VR headset.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be looking like it's coming right at you.
Exactly. And here you can see you're kind of jumping, so you're actually seeing the action from below, which is something that is completely unique in VR, because normally when you play a traditional game, the camera is following you more or less, on a defined path. But in VR, you are the camera, so you can actually play any way you like.
Now, we see some of the traditional stuff with regular platformers. There's coins to collect. Obviously, we've got some little hover modes and jump modes. What other types of gadgets can the players use in gameplay? OK,
so the other thing we have is the DualShock 4, becomes visible in your hands in VR.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely something you don't see in a lot of VR titles right now, is the addition of the DualShock controller.
That's true, yeah.
Right
so here you
there
can see it becomes a shuriken, and by flicking on the touchpad, you can actually destroy the environment to make a path for your character. So it's really interesting because there is a duality to the game. You're controlling your character, but every now and then you have a job as you exist in that world too, and it's very much a teamwork, in fact. So at kind of key moments, we punctuate the game with these interactions using the controller. So it could be for example, planting these ninja stars inside the tatami to make platforms for your character,
Your way up.
or using a hook shot to make a rope that you have to cross a ravine over. For example, these are examples of other gadgets in the game.
These level designs are gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah. I love how vibrant the colors are, too. The color palette.
So the other thing we kind of really expanded upon is the world of these characters, adding lots of kind of enemies. And the character design as well is very much a big expansion on what Playroom used to be. So we have a cast of 30 baddies, these 6 kind of huge bosses.
How many worlds do you get to play in?
So there are 26 levels altogether in 5 worlds, but every level is pretty much unique. So you kind of travel through Firelands and kind of up in the sky, and we're always trying to find worlds that do make sense in VR, so that as an experience, as a human being on in these worlds also has something kind of magical and have a lot of wow factor to it. And aside,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, aside to these 26 stages, you can unlock another 26 stages that are kind of more challenge stages for a little bit more kind of skillful players who want to test their skills. So altogether, there's actually a lot of content, and it's probably around 8 to 10 hours of gameplay.
Now, you mentioned the rescue mission being so popular as a little side quest. Will there be also little side quests in these worlds as well?
Yes, so you don't have to rescue all the little guys, but in VR, you have this 3D audio, so you can hear where sound is coming from. And you can actually, just by closing your eyes and listening, you can tell if a character calling for help is just down below or kind of far away from you. And that's one of the really, really cool things about VR. And so as you play through the levels, you'll probably go back and try to rescue them all because that's obviously getting your entire crew is the ultimate goal of the game. So there is a main path, but you kind of get to replay the levels over and over again to get all the little guys. And finally, like all the coins that you pick up in a game, you can redeem them inside a kind of collection room where, in Playroom VR, we had a machine that you can put coins inside of, and then like a gacha, those machines. And so you can spend all your coins inside this machine and create like a big toy collection inside the room, and you can kind of play with it as well. So there is always like a kind of something else to do on the side. If you want to take a break from the adventure, you can actually go back to the...
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love this shot here.
Yeah, this is the big robot that you climb.
All right, and then we're actually going to get our hands on this pretty quickly, right?
Yes.
Fall 2018?
Right. Fall 2018, yeah. So a few more weeks to go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, well, Nicholas, thank you so much for stopping by. Kristen, any last thoughts?
I just can't wait to play, honestly.
Thank you.
It looks so gorgeous. I want to look around everywhere. Oh, look at him
That's very
go.
cool. All right, Nicholas, any last thoughts you'd like to share with the PlayStation fans out there that are watching?
Well, I think probably like talking about VR, like when you look at it on the screen, I think it never quite does justice to VR games. VR games is something you have to try. And I think with this game in particular, something I realized as we worked through it, I think the appeal was a combination of, there's obviously a lot of new technologies, so it's kind of very much a modern game because of the VR element. But because it's a classic genre, there is an element of nostalgia as well. And I think it's a combination of the two that is making it Astrobot quite a special game. It is the kind of game that maybe you imagine in your head, as you play the platform games being smaller. Yeah.
That's very cool.
I love this mechanic here.
Okay, look at those ninja stars one more time. All right, well, Nicholas, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for bringing Astrobots, and it'll be coming fall 2018, so you'll be able to get your hands on Astrobot Rescue Mission real soon. Stick around, we have a lot more coming up on Live from PlayStation at E3.
PlayStation